A very good evening to you and welcome to The Bottom Line, a wrap of the business news of the day. I'm Francis Hurd, and we start with the number of the day, which is 12. Now, this represents a stinging rebuke and punishment by a professional body, one of the men who is alleged to have worked with the Guptas to facilitate Eskom and Transnet. Anoj Singh has been found guilty of 12 charges by the accounting watchdog, the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, or SAICA, and SAICA has revoked his membership. Now, Singh was the former chief financial officer of state-owned entities Eskom and Transnet, and he's been implicated in claims of state capture. He's been linked to a dodgy procurement process in which Transnet bought more than 1,000 trains. The Gupta leaks suggest there were kickbacks in that deal amounting to more than 5 billion rand, with the Chinese manufacturer that's become Transnet's main supplier. Now, earlier this month, the Special Investigating Unit also issued a summons to recover so-called diverted funds, and Singh was named along with the former Eskom CEO, Brian Molefe. All right, we will be speaking now to the CEO of that accounting watchdog body, SAICA, and that's Freeman Nomvalo. Mr. Nomvalo, thank you for being with us. So what does this mean for Anoj Singh? Presumably he can no longer say he's a chartered accountant.
Yes, he can no longer claim it. But first, let me start by saying the watchdog is IRBA, the Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors. That's the watchdog. SAICA is obviously does regulate privately, but it's a member body. So watchdog might not be an accurate description. But what this means for Anoj Singh is that he cannot hold himself as chartered accountant, cannot use the designation CASA anywhere in South Africa, as he conducts himself or make himself available for opportunities and so on. He would not be able to do that. If he does so, that would be a criminal offense.
These claims circling around him have led to questions, why is there no criminal prosecution yet? Why did it take SAICA quite a while to conclude this process?
As for the criminal prosecution, I would not be able to answer that question. Only the organs of state would be able to do that. Why did it take so long? As SAICA, even though we're a member body, when we hold our members accountable through a disciplinary process, we also have to follow the laws of the country. And that requires that we make a case that is based on well-established facts. And to get to that point, you need to investigate. And we don't have subpoena powers or anything of that sort that regulatory bodies that are state bodies have. We rely on the cooperation of the various stakeholders. We then have to make charges, formulate the charges and put them to a tribunal and allow the person to respond to those charges appropriately. And after we've made our case and he's made his case, the tribunal will make its conclusion. So that process takes long because, amongst other things, the people that oversee the process are independent people who are senior counsels. They've got other responsibilities. So you need to tie in the diary of the SAICA senior counsel to that of the person that you are disciplining to make sure that the process is seen to be fair. Indeed. Yeah. So that process does take time indeed.
All right, and I understand what you're saying, that you could only find him guilty, even in your case, when there was only clear evidence and you couldn't subpoena, etc. So let's look what he was found guilty of. And first, I'm going to lay out the overall claims in terms of the Transnet rail deal that many people know about. So more than 1,000 trains were purchased, and that was massively inflated, the tender afterwards, from near 39 billion to 54 billion. Evidence of bribery has come out in the Gupta leaks. But within your purview, what did you find him guilty of in relation to Transnet?
Well, in relation to Transnet, the information provided to the governance structures of Transnet was not clear and accurate in terms of what the cost, for instance, incorporated. And the changes in the price from 38 billion to about 54 billion. the reasons for that increase do not seem to add up properly. The claims around savings and the claims around the profitability of the deal, all of which are factors that would have been considered by the governance structures to make their decision. And we found that a lot of that information was either done negligently or with gross negligence. Not enough care was taken to make sure that the governance structures are properly briefed with accurate information.
Mm. And did he lie to the Transnet board?
I can't get that.
Did he lie to the Transnet board? There was a finding of dishonesty.
Well, in our information, we say the information provided was inaccurate and potentially misleading. We do not go as far as making that determination. I guess there would be other factors to consider to say if somebody is lying or not.
All right, then in Eskom, if I can do the same, the overall claims, there was a deal with McKinsey. They partnered with Trillion, but Eskom should not have paid Gupta Link Trillion directly. They did, reportedly for no work. And again, there are claims out there that may have been used as bribe money. In relation to Eskom, what did you find Anoj Singh guilty of?
Well, the issues in relation to Eskom is the payment of over 30 million rands where there was no contract, and that payment was to Trillion, and there was a guarantee given to Tegeta and financial assistance provided to Tegeta in a way that violated the rules within that entity.
Mm. Did Anoj Singh, apparently he didn't come to hearings, did he try and defend himself, offer anything to defend his own reputation?
Well, we informed him of the pending hearing after we had concluded the investigation and proffered charges. At the end of October, we informed him of the hearing. He did not avail himself. We invited him to a pre-hearing meeting, and it is at that point that his lawyers wrote to us to say they would not be participating in the process. So he did not.
Mr. Nomvalo, finally, I mean, auditors, of course, have been in the main line of fire, but the profession of being a chartered accountant has been dented by the claims of state capture. Do you think a ruling like this goes some way to restore confidence?
Look, first and foremost, without being defensive, it's not the profession, but certain individuals within the profession that were found to be on the wrong side and could potentially have facilitated some of the activities that happened in what is termed state capture. So a ruling like this will send a warning to all our members that when they fail to observe the Code of Professional Conduct, they will be held accountable. And that is an important issue to note. But the profession itself, I think it's still sound. The number of cases we get every year are less than 0.5% of the total membership. So the overwhelming membership body is a group of people that are honest, that observe public interest, but the impact, this should not be ignored, the impact of the actions of those few who were found to be on the wrong side have had devastating impact on the economy, and that should not be taken lightly. And it is because of that this issue requires serious attention, but it is not an indictment on the profession as a whole.
All right, and thank you for your time tonight. That was the CEO of the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, Freeman Nomvalo.